after nearly 65 hours with Assassin's Creed Shadows, I can say I've completed the game, and I have many faults. Welcome back to MXAM. I'm MC Fixer. This is Paul Despawn, and we are going to talk all things Assassin's Creed Shadows. Despawn, I have been playing Assassin's Creed Shadows now for over 65 hours. It feels like it's been 8 hours a day for the last 2 weeks. I don't know how math works, so work that out for yourselves. I played it. I beat it. I know you have many questions for me.
I do.
So let's jump into it. This is our conversation about all things Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Just a heads up for the listeners and the viewers. Spoiler free. I don't want to get into any spoilers because I haven't played it yet. So I don't want to spoil anything for myself because I know the game's not too far away now. So yeah, we're going to be aware of that. But I have got a lot of questions about how the game works, what's different, what's the same, all that kind of stuff. So to start off with, how, after 65 hours, how are you feeling?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm excited to get back to it, if I'm honest with you. That's kind of how I feel the most. I don't know. It feels weird being able to speak to somebody about it. You know, I've been talking about the fact I've been playing it for a while now. But the fact that I can actually sit here and talk to you and make some content around it is amazing. But I feel like I just want to get back in. Honestly, after I rolled credits, I was just like, okay, and I still know I have this and 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 this to do. And I'm not even. I generally feel like I've only scratched the surface in the game. And I'm 65 hours in. Like, that's generally how I feel. I'm excited, I'm giddy, and I want to keep exploring, is how I feel off the bat after rolling credits.
Now, that's a good sign to start with, you know, actually wanting to play it after rolling credits. Because a lot of the time you'll finish a game and be like, I'm done. I've got my credits. I'm done. I'm out. I'm going to go move on to the next thing. And especially in the careers that we're in where, you know, playing every new game is important. The fact that you're like, no, I'm going to spend more time on Assassin's Creed is a good sign. So I guess, the big thing is obviously you want to go back in, you want to explore that world. Let's talk about the world to start with. How does it feel in the whole grand scheme of not just Assassin's Creed, but in the grand scheme of, like, we've had a deluge of games within this era now. Yeah. How does it balance out in all those?
It's my favorite of them all, if I'm honest with you. For me. And again, I'm sure other people have other opinions, but these are my opinions. And where other games in this setting I enjoyed, but they didn't quite grab me the way Assassin's Creed Shadows has. We'll start with the world. The world itself is beautiful, to be expected at this point, right? From an Assassin's Creed game. I've gone to other countries because of Assassin's Creed games, Egypt being the main one, right? We all know how much I love Assassin's Creed Origins and Bayek and that whole story. So yeah, this is no different, right? Like, I want to go to Japan so bad. I've always wanted to go to Japan anyway, but playing this game and visiting these beautiful, amazing landmarks that are created so well and so beautifully, I just want to go there in real life even more so now. But the world itself is it's mad. I don't want to overhype it because I just want to it feels really, really good. That I had moments while playing this game that I was just walking along the streets to just take it in, and we'll get into it about the weather, the way the dynamic weather works and things like that. Like, it really does change the feel of the game through the seasons that happen, right? Like, one minute you're walking through and it's beautiful sunshines and you can see the sun beaming and hitting the water and you're taking that in. Next minute you look at that same pond and it's frozen over because we're now in snowy Japan. And, you know, so it's those moments that really... It's the immersiveness for me of this world. It feels, it's probably for me the most immersive landmarks I've had in an Assassin's Creed game. Like, they nail those landmarks so well that it makes me want to go, okay, I want to see this in real life. Again, Egypt for me was huge, but this to me is the next step above, which is what we've been expecting from an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned obviously like the story and the gameplay are fantastic, but let's talk about the story. Like, obviously, it is an Assassin's Creed story. Yep. How much of an Assassin's Creed game is it? I always go to someone like the Odyssey one. It didn't really feel like an Assassin's game until they've like DLC and they tried to shoehorn it in. Does this feel like an Assassin's game?
For me, yes, in every way, shape, or form. You're going to get to certain moments in this game where maybe you will not feel like that at the start, but trust me, play the game and you will get to experience it in the ways in which you want to, Despawn, especially. Again, anything that I say is spoiler territory when it comes to those storylines specifically, so I'm not going to do that. But just know that this definitely does play a role in the Assassin's world, and I think people are going to be quite excited when they get to those moments in this game. The story itself, though, obviously we have these two main characters, Yusuke and Naoe, sorry, and they have two stories, right? The way they are told is very much your experience and what these characters have gone through. They have very, very different upbringings, very, very different experiences, very, very different lifestyles, and the way that those two worlds collide at a certain moment is kind of what makes this game special to me. Obviously, there's a big conversation around the Black Samurai and things of that nature, right? And I think for me, the biggest worry that I had, were they going to be a little bit too delicate with the story of this humongous character in this world, literally huge, and were they not gonna go to the places they need to go in terms of like, you know, vocabulary? Like obviously you're in Japan, you're a gigantic black man. Are they gonna say things in the way they need to say them, which is like, look at that big black man, oh my god, you're black man, and they do it. That is how plain and simple they speak. And for me, that is so important for this game and this story, because it lets you know that, yeah, Yusuke is not supposed to be here. This is not normal. He is an anomaly in this world. You know, we don't see people of his stature, his skin tone, his upbringing, his background in this country at this time especially. And not only that, the stature in which he holds within this world as a samurai is humongous. And I think they convey that very well. I know for me, it definitely touched me with the way I was playing. And I know I'm getting softer as I've gotten older, 100%, because things are happening around me in this game that I'm like getting choked up and things of that nature, right? So yeah, I love it. I love it. And then obviously you've got Naoe, the shinobi. Her story is very much one of vengeance. It's one of love. It's one of passion. And the game allows you to kind of shape that the way you want to, because it has its different dialogue choices, and obviously you can switch between different characters for different missions. There's also missions where you can change in between a mission to tackle things. Like, there's so much that goes into this game, and the way they've built this game of like, you really are playing the game how you want to play it. Like, that is the be all and end all with it, right? I very much played it now a story of vengeance, and nobody was getting in the way of that. Now, you may play it very differently, and there are reasons to play it differently, but the way I played it was like that. And for me, that was the fun of it, was being able to go, there were certain moments that I was there and I was like, wait, I could do this so differently, and I could do this, and that person can do, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, interesting. Second playthrough, maybe.
Yeah, so I do want to touch on that. So obviously you mentioned like there's dialogue choices that you can make, and like I've seen a few of them where it's like kind of like BioWare-esque kind of option choices. How much do you feel like that played a part on the story, and do you feel like by the end of it it had a like material effect on it?
I think this is probably where I feel like they had to play it quite safe in certain elements of that, right? Like, I don't think you make a choice, and I could be wrong because I've not played the other side of it, right? But I don't feel like I was making a choice that really changed the entire narrative in a crazy way. It was more in a way a character reacted, or more in a way a character would look at you emotionally. There are certain moments where like you're going to pick a dialogue option or a choice where you're going to change the character altogether. So you'll go from tackling something head on to then probably tackle it in the shadows and things of that. So there is big branching moments like that, but I don't think there's certain moments you're in conversations and it's like option one, option two, and I never felt like those options were were dramatically going to change the story.
So like it didn't feel like it was going to give you an alternative ending. It was very much a flavor to the story itself rather than
yeah, exactly. It was a different flavor. It was a different topping on your ice cream, to be honest with you. And of course, I went to food. I love ice cream.
Who doesn't?
I really love it. To talk about a little bit of gameplay, though, right? Like what you're actually doing in this game. And I know you've probably got questions. So for me, the gameplay of Assassin's Creed Shadows is a lot deeper than I think previous Assassin's Creed games. I really love the mastery points and I really love the knowledge points, knowledge ranks, sorry. And what that is so you have your mastery points, which is how you're building out your assassin, your skill points, let's say, right? And you're putting your points in, etc., but you're gonna get stopped at a certain point because you don't have enough knowledge. So the knowledge rank kind of gates you off to being able to just super up your assassin or your shinobi. And for me, that's where this game shines the most, because the whole game is allowing you to earn points. You can go to shrines and do prayers and that will you'll go and prayer at certain shrines, which will earn you a rank point. You'll take down certain enemy types and they will give you mastery points. But the whole world is doing that constantly. And what it feels like is you have a character that is constantly learning while they're on the go, right? Everything you're doing in this world is building towards the character being the character they become. And that's what I really liked about this. To me, it didn't feel like it was, I'm just throwing these skill points in and yeah, now I can do more damage and I can take down armor and I can do this and I can do that. It felt like the character was learning because I'm doing these activities in the world, which are allowing me to learn these knowledge ranks and then building to the point of where I've got my characters today. And I feel that's where the special sauce of Assassin's Creed Shadows is. It's everything that you're doing is constantly building upon itself. You're constantly taking down enemies and you're getting rewarded for it. You're constantly doing different activities. You're being rewarded for it in knowledge. And that's the specialty sauce, other than obviously the combat's fantastic. Like that's not, go on, please. So
I was going to say, I do want to jump in on the combat a little bit. Obviously everyone knows you play as two different characters. How do those two characters compare and how did they differ? Like, which one did you prefer, or did you even prefer one or the other? Did you enjoy them both equally?
The combat, obviously the two characters play extremely differently. There's no overlap, honestly. One is an all-out powerful samurai that is total destruction. From the moment that you play as Yusuke, you absolutely feel powerful, and you're posturing, which is you holding down attack moves and then chopping people up. You're taking off limbs, you're taking off heads. It's exactly how it should feel for a man of his stature, of his skill set. And of course, along the way, you're learning more, getting new attributes and abilities and things of that nature. And then obviously Naue on the other side of that is very much, if you try and play Naue how you play as Yusuke, you're going to die a lot. If you try and play Yusuke as you play Naue, you're going to get found a lot. Like, the characters are made to be played a certain type of way, and that is what builds so much fun in this game, to be honest with you, because every moment that you're forced to do certain things, right? Like, now I'm not, you know me, right? Stealth is not really my thing. True. I love stealth in this game.
Okay.
It's made with a purpose. It makes sense. The scenarios that there's certain castles you're gonna go take down certain enemy types in, right? And you know you're not gonna take Naue into that. But that's not her fire. And it's like, switch over to my different character and all right, let's go in. Are we going through the front door? Are we going to sneak through this gap in the wall? What are we doing? 9 times out of 10, I went straight through the front door because I'm like, do you know who I am?
I'm Yasuke.
Do you know who I am? You know who I am. And I'm walking through and I'm taking people out. And yeah, the gameplay is so different between the two characters, and that's how it should feel. And it's made in that way on purpose. And people are gonna love it. I truly do think people are gonna love it. It just feels good. And the question I'm sure a lot of people are wondering is obviously like assassinations, right? Like, how does that work? So I feel like they finally have found the balance for this RPG game, which is they have become as of lately, right, with Valhalla and Odyssey, and that mixture of Mirage. They've also now got Pronin. This game is probably the closest it's felt to, when it's in its stealth, to its Splinter Cell, if I'm honest with you. Like, that's the closest we're getting at this moment in time, which is credit to the team of, like, you can lean up against walls and wait, and then get characters to come over and then assassinate them and then pull them back around the edge, and you can go prone in the tall grass and crawl across and then take them out and throw them in a bush. Like, I was doing that constantly, and that's why I say stealth is amazing, right? Because I don't care for stealth usually. So I was expecting, when I got my copy of Assassin's Creed Shadows, I was expecting it to be, all right, Noe, you're really cool and you've got some cool abilities and gadgets and tools, but I'm going to be running around, running through doors, literally, by the way, and just destroying. I didn't. I was using the brand new Observe mechanic, which we'll get into a little bit later, but the brand new Observe mechanic, looking around, marking all my enemies. And yeah, it has that Assassin's Creed, that Ubisoft feel. And I love Ubisoft games. That's amazing. But I feel like they've really refined it and really made it fun in a different way that we haven't had before. It's still an Assassin's Creed game, but I feel like it's been elevated every step that we wanted.
Sticking on the characters a bit, like, obviously you mentioned one is very much like your heavy attacks, the one is stealth attacks. Did you feel like the game had a good balance between the two, or did you feel like it was like weighted to one over the other?
I feel like the balance is there, to be honest with you, because the way the game's designed is very much like, obviously, like, Yasuke has more special abilities. Naoe has the tools that Yasuke doesn't, and yeah, I feel like it was balanced perfectly. It's like, because these two characters, it wouldn't make sense for one to have the other things and the other things to have the other. Like, the way it's designed is very much like, no, yeah, I never felt like either or were out of sync in any way. I felt like they were perfectly balanced in their skill sets and tools in which they had. I'm also leveling up both these characters at the same time as well, right? Like, when you earn a skill point, you don't have separate skill points for each character. So if you earn a mastery point for, if you, as playing as a Naoe, that will also give you a mastery point for Yusuke, which is huge, right? Because you don't want to have to do everything twice just because you have two different characters. Now, the way you're going to build those characters out are obviously vastly different. They have different weapon sets, different tool sets, and that nature. But yeah, no, I feel like they're balanced pretty well, to be honest with you.
How does the leveling up feel to you? Does, like you say, like, they've got this good balance of giving each character the point at the same time. Does you feel like that does completely get rid of the whole grinding aspect of it, and it just felt like a natural curve? Or... I
never felt like I was grinding ever.
Okay.
Like, I generally didn't. Throughout my entire time, there was never a moment that I was, and I know exactly what you're referencing because I remember it, but I never felt like I never got to a moment where I was like, oh no, and now I need to grind out this for this mission, ever. That never happened once with the entire time that I was playing this game. That is the way I play the game as well, right? Like, I'm very much the guy that run around getting fast travel points in a bunch of areas, because that way then I know when there's a mission there, I can just fast travel over there and bam, bam, bam. Now, maybe if you are only doing story stuff, maybe then you would get to a point, but I still don't think so. I feel like the game is very well balanced and you're not leveled out of anything. There was even a moment, and again, I won't go into details who the person is or what I was doing, but there was even a moment where I came across someone that I needed to kill, and they had like a skull over their head, which was like, hey, you should not be fighting this guy. Now, he did one-shot me 4 times, but I did kill him.
Yeah.
So it's not like it can't be done. It's not recommended, and it's going to be very challenging, but it's not like it can't be done. And again, I had moments like that a ton because of the way I played the game, right? Yeah. I'm running it into these castles, which are clearly level 20, 30, whatever they are, areas. And I'm like, well, I'm level 6, but I want that fast travel point. And it's down to me on how I tackle it. I was still getting assassinations, I believe, for as much as I can remember. And I was still holding my own in certain areas. Now, They got to a certain points where like the bigger guys, you need to get your mastery points before you can take them down and take off their armor and things of that nature. But that's just natural progression of the game.
How big is the world? Because I know that's one of the complaints in the past that AC fans have had, that sometimes it just feels a bit bloated. Is Shadows better or worse or about the same? That
I don't think it's bad in any way, shape or form, to be honest with you. There's a whole area I've not even gone to yet.
Okay.
Like, I know it. I can see it already at a certain part of the map where I'm like, oh yeah, I've not even got up there yet, which I'm assuming the game is going to take me up there to take out some of these other people that I need to kill. But yeah, I don't feel like the game's too big. It feels like a good size for what you're doing as well. Like it's Japan, dude. Like it's Japan. Like you want to experience all of what this has been created and all this stuff in Japan as well. So no, I feel like it's a good size. I've not got to a point where, and again, 65 hours in, where I'm like, oh, now I have to go here. That hasn't happened to me once.
So one of the unique things that this game is bringing is base building. So this is where you can build your hideout. I've seen a little bit about it, but not much. Can you go into some of the details about what that is and how it works, and why should I even bother with it?
Why should you bother with it? You should bother with it because you want to care about your people. The base building, the hideout, which is what it's called, it's interesting. I didn't play with it too much. I did what I needed to within it to get the most out of the game for me. So as you're going around the Assassin's Creed Shadows world, you're about to observe. And what this does is it shows when you're at a viewpoint, you'll be able to sort of look around the world, which will show you different points, and we'll get into the exploration a little bit. But what else it does is it shows you like gold marks on like an area you're in, and that's where you're going to get resources. So your resources you use at your hideout to upgrade your hideout base, which can be for leveling up weapons, leveling up allies, crafting. There's a bunch of stuff, and that all happens at the hideout. So it pretty much is down to you and how you use it. It's like you're not forced to. There was never a time I felt like I had to use it, and it was so important. Other than like there's a tutorial mission that you'll do to sort of show you what it is. You build out this entire hideout. That's what it's made for. I'm not that guy, like even when I play The Sims, I'm very much like, if there's a ready built house, I'd rather the ready built house and then customize what's inside. So I was pretty much just like, plop you here, plop you here, plop you here, plop you here, plop you here. Okay, I've got what I need and I'll just run to it. And then I put a bunch of pets down that will run around and stuff like that. Statues, pets, like there's so much that you can do. You can put animals in it, you can put statues in it, you can put waterfalls in it, bamboo, rocks, paper, like rock floor, grass floors. There's lots to be played with there. But it just wasn't for me,
Okay, I do have one question. Can I pet that dog?
You can pet that dog. You can pet that cat.
10 out of 10.
More importantly, you can put it this way: in your hideout, you can build a farm of cats and just have 20 cats running around.
2 seconds, I'm just pre-ordering.
The hideout for me wasn't. It's probably one of my lower points in the game, just because that's not what I'm into. Not that I think it's bad. I don't like. You can unlock. You can buy a bunch of stuff all the time in the world, right? From like the shops and stuff like that. I wasn't going around buying all that stuff. I was using my currency for other things, like filling up my scouts, which again, scouts play a huge role in this game. So the world of Assassin's Creed is very much, you are not held, your hand's not held in this game at all. Okay. Like beforehand, you go up to a fast travel point, bam, you see everything, there's your mission, go there. Yeah. That's not what happens. Like I say, you go to the top of a viewpoint and you're observing, so you're sort of spinning the camera around and it will come up with like question marks here. But then it doesn't come up with question marks across the entire area like it used to, which gives you that more of a sense of exploring, right? Like you're like, there's a question mark over there, we're going over there, like that's where we're going. And for me, that was some of the most fun I had in the game, was just exploring this world, riding through on my horse and like hearing a guy go, "Please help me." I get off the horse. There's no indicator to help him. There's no information that says I should help him. I heard him say, "Please help me," or I heard him have an argument with somebody. He's getting bullied. So I walk past, shank, they're dead. And then the guy's like, "Thank you so much. How can I help you?" I'll let you figure out what happens after that. But there's moments like that happen throughout Assassin's Creed Shadows a lot.
Yeah.
Which to me was some of the magical moments in this game.
You mentioned like obviously getting resources and stuff like that. What's the upgrade system in like this, and the weapon system, and what does that look like within Shadows?
Yeah. So weapon systems is you have your different weapon types. You're constantly getting new weapons when you're going to take down these castles or whatever it is you're taking down, right? Different load of boxes and the loot. You're constantly looting, constantly looting. You can customize the look of all of your weapons, all of your armor, all of your helmets. Your horse can be saddled now. There's so much customization. So I was keeping so many items, not based on their level, just because I wanted my item to look a specific way. So I kept it for that reason. But yeah, you're constantly getting a bunch of new loot, armor sets and things of that nature. You can upgrade all of those, like I said to you, at the Hideout. You can also engrave those with specialty stats, like it might do 100 plus armor damage. It might do things of that nature, poison stuff like that. But that's all probably a little bit more end gamey, kind of mid gamey is what I would kind of say. I didn't start using it until the very end, just because I was saving my currency and my materials constantly. But yeah,
so I was going to ask about that, because one thing I love about these kind of games like the RPG is like min-maxing characters and building like a specific build. Like I love, like one of the things I love doing in say similar came out recently was Avowed, is like building a poison damage build that did necro damage constantly. Does this game feel like it gives you the ability to do that with these kind of like end level builds?
Yeah, you can. You can build it how you want to. If you're strictly a stealth player with Noway, you're going to want to engrave your whatever item or whatever weapon of choice to be built for stealth, and not only that, also the headpiece and the armor. Like, yeah, you build your assassin. The game doesn't build it for you, and I think that's the part that I like so much. Again, I'm exploring this world to find this loot, to build the assassin that I want to build. And that's where the fun is to be had as well with this game.
I guess the one big question is, if you are an Assassin's Creed fan, is this the Assassin's game for you?
I believe so, yeah. And I'm an Assassin's Creed fan. Like, for me, Assassin's Creed Shadows has been in development for a very long time, right? We've been waiting for this game for a very long time. And I think that it lives up to what we expected from it. We've been waiting to go to feudal Japan. We have gone there. They have done an amazing job in building this world. They're telling a story with two different characters from two different backgrounds that I think you're really gonna like. Again, I don't want to go, it's so hard to talk about story without spoiling it, right? But like, don't miss out on some of the flashback missions and stuff like that you need to do, because those were probably some of my favorite moments in this entire game, was getting the backstory to these characters and really understanding their motivations the entire time. And yeah, I just think it's overall a really, really, really amazing game. Again, 65 hours in, which, isn't crazy amounts of numbers, but I am ready to go straight back in after we finish talking and carry on playing and assassinating people. So yeah, really love it, really enjoy it. The most important thing that I always say, especially over here on MXAM, right, is it worth your time and is it worth your money? And in my opinion, it is yes to both of those.
I guess the last question is, when is the game out and where can people play it?
Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, Ubisoft Connect, I believe it's all those platforms, and it's out on the 20th. I definitely think you guys are going to want to enjoy it. When you do, let me know what you think. And hopefully, Despawn means you can do a spoiler discussion, because there is lots I would love to talk about when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Well, like I say, this is the next game on my list, and yeah, I am definitely down to no life it, so we can get to that spoiler discussion soon. And yeah, I'm very excited after this talk to get into it.
Let's do it.